Hi, this is the first scooter test for this year, or rather for the year 2025, and I have to introduce a scooter to you that might be the best mid-range scooter of the year. Join me! Let's start with the name. This is the Angwatt F1 scooter. Angwatt is Banggood's own scooter brand, as far as I know. LIOT manufactures the scooters under the Angwatt name for Banggood. There were several types last year, and there will probably be more types this year as well. Overall, it can be said that these are very good quality scooters, well equipped. The capabilities are good, and the prices are very good. Let's get into the details, but first there will be an unboxing, then specifications, and I will deal with that at the end. What it's like to use the scooter. I don't want to talk too much about the assembly because it's really quite simple. All you have to do is the handlebar to install the brake system, the first class brake, the first class wheel, the first class wheel cylinder, the first class wheel assembly in place, the central console, the instrument unit in place. And once you're done with these, then comes the brake adjustment, checking screws and other things that are usual when putting a scooter into operation. And then you can go scooter riding. So the assembly is not like building Lego. You don't need a crazy amount of technical skill. But I definitely recommend that if you haven't assembled a scooter before, or if you feel your technical skills are lacking, take it to a mechanic and have it checked, as this is a mode of transportation. Car, you will be using it on sidewalks and bike paths, and if it's not well assembled, it can be dangerous. So that's the assembly. Now let's see the specification. This scooter is a mid-range scooter with a peak power of 1000 watts. The battery built into it is 48 volts and 18.2 ampere hours, so we are getting a relatively large battery. The tires are 10 inches tubeless. Of course, we get disc brakes with the scooter, although they are mechanical disc brakes and not with very large discs, but in practice they work just fine. The scooter itself is not a small thing. It is very large, very big. The standing platform is also large, considering we're only talking about a 1000 watt scooter. Based on its size, we would assume a larger scooter than a 1000 watt structure. According to the manufacturer's data, the top speed is approximately 50 kilometers per hour. According to the manufacturer's data, you can cover 50 to 70 kilometers on a single charge. It's very important that the scooter is not CE approved. Suspension-wise, we get proper shock absorption in the front, and at the back, there is a central unit that handles the shock absorption. Well, that's about it for the specifications, and I quickly want to move on to how it was to ride this scooter, and what advantages and disadvantages, what positives and negatives I found. Let's start with the handlebars, as we find quite a few interesting things here. We have a very good little instrument panel, which I really like. I've encountered similar ones on Angwatt scooters before. There's also an indicator and there's a horn lamp on the gear selector and stuff like that. So this is a very good thing. What's also very good about this scooter is that the instrument doesn't turn on with the power button, but we can turn it on with the NFC card that we get with it. Or in other words, for this scooter, you don't need... This is not any kind of key start. We don't need to carry a key with us. We can lose it. This is a very good thing. I really like this NFC card solution. Regarding the handlebar, I definitely have to mention that we get a really good wide handlebar. I'm not used to this width. It gives security, it gives stability. So it's a particularly good handlebar connection. There are a few things on this scooter that I don't really like. The first is the dashboard, which I'm not sure how visible it will be. In sunlight, it's almost invisible, but that's basically the case with all similar scooters. I don't really know when manufacturers will finally be able to make a dashboard that we can use in sunlight. The other thing I don't really like about it is the turn signal. Firstly, the fact that there is a quite annoying beeping during the signaling, but this is still the tolerable part of the issue. The bigger problem is that this signal blinks here at the back. And honestly, there's not much sense in it. So it's so low and so hidden that drivers definitely won't notice this indicator. And they won't pay attention to whether you're signaling or what you're doing. So let's just say that this indicator, in my opinion, turned out to be a bit unnecessary again. And the whole thing makes no sense. Maybe just that we have a turn signal, which is great. You can see here that we're signaling. However, there is no problem with our lamp. I think the brightness of the lamp is completely adequate. Similarly, we also have a lamp at the back, but it's tucked away down here at the bottom. Again, in my opinion, this is a bit nonsensical. It would have been much better if they had placed this lamp somewhere on the fender. In any case, that's how we manufacture it. There's only one thing I don't like on this scooter, and that's the rear fender, which in terms of quality is made of plastic roughly equivalent to that of a sandbox shovel. Fortunately, it does its job. It is large, so it definitely catches the splashing mud and water. However, this plastic quality and the fact that the screws are screwed into the plastic is a bit cheap. But let that be the biggest problem. The main thing is that it performs its function completely. And what I really like about this scooter, by the way, is this side light strip. Even in this light, it is already visible that it presents quite a striking sight. And obviously, while moving, especially in the dark or twilight, when it makes sense, it makes the scooter very visible. As I mentioned, the deck is appropriately sized. I don't think anyone will have an issue with this. Even my size, 44 foot, fits well. But you'll probably be able to ride it easily with even larger feet. And what I definitely want to show, as I mentioned, are these gas shock absorbers. Here they are at the front of the scooter, which enables very good suspension and very stable road holding and safe usage. Okay? And then two more things. One is that the manufacturer finally solved that, although the handlebar is still round, so theoretically it could rotate if it's not tightened properly. But they inserted these knobs, so now the handlebar can be adjusted to 3 heights, and the handlebar will not be able to neither turn sideways even under greater force. The other thing I want to show is this locking mechanism, which the F1 inherited it from the larger T1 scooter. But this is a very safe and well-designed locking mechanism. The scooter won't collapse under you while riding, so I'm glad they included this on the machine. Okay, that's roughly all I wanted to say and show. Practical experiences can come now. Of course, I charged the scooter to maximum before starting the test, so I could see what top speed I would get. And I also grow familiar with the range. Perhaps it's no big secret that this scooter won't go 50 or 70 kilometers, meaning it can't deliver what the manufacturer promises for range. Weighing about 95 kilograms at around 15 or 16 degrees Celsius, I was almost able to go 40 kilometers on one charge, although I pushed the scooter quite hard to test it. So if you are more cautious, you might go faster with it. If your weight is lower, you don't need to climb hills with it, then maybe you will be able to go 40, 45. Very, very, very carefully, possibly 50 kilometers, but I wouldn't bet my life on it. Regarding the top speed, what is interesting is that the speedometer quite a lot mistakenly, and it was very surprising as I set off with it. The scooter starts very dynamically and quickly. It's very pleasant to ride, and it reaches the top speed very quickly, which according to the speedometer is 57, 58 kilometers per hour, contrary to what the manufacturer says that you can go up to 50. So I took out my phone, checked it, and in reality it was more like 48, 49 kilometers per hour. So this can be a negative or a positive since the speedometer is inaccurate, but the manufacturer isn't wrong about the maximum speed. He didn't deceive us, he didn't lie. The scooter really performs as they said. As I mentioned, there's no problem with the brakes, they work really well, and the front suspension is amazing. The scooter is much more stable than those with a C chassis. With this scooter, you don't have to expect that to the steering wobbling and throwing you off the back. It is much safer, much better, more comfortable and stable to use this scooter than a cheaper suspension one. Clearly, the manufacturer, this machine is intended as a competitor against Hungarian similar category scooters, and I must say it's a good decision, as the Hungarian with its C suspension is far less appealing to me, like this scooter. Moreover, it has a large battery and a powerful motor as well. And regarding this motor, it's very important for me to mention that, interestingly, Angwatt with 1000 watts. What was given as peak performance, I think slightly undershoots what the actual peak performance of this motor is. There is a slope here that I usually try, where I normally go up with the scooters. Last year, if I remember correctly, the last one was the Kukri G3 that could go up. It was 1200 with 1200 watt peak power, but nothing else could go up, not even the OOT DS10, which is also 1200 watts. With this scooter, with its 1000 watt peak power, I almost effortlessly went up this incline. So if I had to guess what the real peak performance of this, when it comes to the scooter, I would say it's more like 1200, 1300 watts, not 1000. This is obviously very good news because manufacturers usually tend to exaggerate upwards, not downwards. So you can definitely count on that. If you are looking for a scooter in the 1000 watt category, then at least among the similar category of scooters I have tried, this will be the strongest currently. Well, that's about it. I left the price for last, of course, which is interesting because the price of this scooter is currently between 180 and 190,000 forints with the coupon, which is an incredibly good price for this performance and capability. So if you're looking for a scooter with roughly 1000 watts, good suspension, good acceleration, a very powerful motor, and comfortable, safe usability, then I definitely recommend you consider the Angwatt F1 as a sub-brand, the opportunity to come. You will find the link under the video on YouTube showing where you can buy it. I'll also provide a coupon code. And Arshaka, I also wrote an article where you can find more pictures and information about this scooter. I will place the link to this under the video on YouTube. Read it. So for the first scooter test, this was it. I will be back soon with another one. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel. Be good. Take care of yourselves and enjoy the spring. Bye.